Babe, love of my life, this is your wife telling you to turn off this video so you don't spoil your Valentine's Day gift, okay? Love you! Mwah! Bye! For everyone else, there are lots of exciting things happening behind me, but they haven't happened yet, so we will talk about that when they actually happen. For now, just focus on me. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Bea, and today I'm going to be making a Valentine's Day hoop based off of the phrase, I love you to the moon and back. I know it's a cliche phrase, but cliches are cliches for a reason, and if sappy declarations of love are not the meaning of Valentine's Day, I don't know what is. The supplies that I'm using today include a 12-inch embroidery hoop, black cotton fabric, 2mm acrylic felt sheets, threads that match the felt sheets, shiny gold embroidery floss, an ombre pink embroidery floss, as well as basic sewing supplies. There are 5 basic steps to this project. Prep the hoop, cut out the shapes and figure out placement, sew them on, add any finishing details, and close the back. This is a very simple process, and honestly, if you have the supplies and know how to straight stitch, you don't need me. You're good to go. So to make this video a little bit more interesting, I'm gonna talk about the principles of art that I used while creating this composition today. I start off with the earth and moon. If you were to close your eyes and then open them so you can see them with fresh eyes, your eyes are going to be drawn to look at the earth first because it's more visually weighted. This is not only because it's larger in size, but because it also has more visual details and therefore is more visually stimulating. It makes you want to look at that earth. And it means the side with the moon is not balanced. If visual weights could be put on the scale, it would look something like this. Obviously, the side with the earth is way heavier than the side with the moon, so eventually I'm going to have to fix that. Next up, I'm choosing the colors for the stars. Blue being a cool color is recessive, yellow being a warm color is projective. So if all the stars are yellow, I think it's going to be a bit too distracting, and if all the stars are blue, the stars will just fade into like a background noise. So I decide I'm going to have to use a mixture of both colors. To represent my love going around the moon, I'm using a heart, and I have this jewel heart, and I have a felt heart, and I'm trying to decide between the two. Though they are both warm colors, the shade of the jewel has less contrast with a black background. But the contrast of the pink felt is helping to create a visual rhythm. Da, da, da. That was missing with just the earth and the moon. Da, da. And this will also help improve the balance of the visual weight of the composition. I think I'm going to use the stars to improve the balance of the visual weight even more by encouraging movement of the eye around the composition. Since I know that the yellow stars are going to draw the eye more than the blue stars, I'm going to use that to my advantage. I like to group things in threes because that is the smallest number that our brains will see a pattern, and therefore a visual rhythm. I'm going to put the yellow stars here, here, and here. Now, since most eyes are going to be drawn to the earth, this will encourage the eyes to be drawn to either one of these stars, here or here. The triangle will help encourage our eyes to move either clockwise, da, 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 or counterclockwise, da, 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 da. Either way, it brings the viewer's eyes a full circle around the canvas. However, I do want to add a little bit more interest in this, and I want to encourage the viewer's eyes to move in a counterclockwise direction. Why counterclockwise? We'll get to that in a minute. So I do this by changing this star from one large star into 3 stars that kind of crown the earth. So even if the viewer's eyes choose to go up to the crown, the arch of the stars should help guide the eyes back down to the earth and then down towards the star at the bottom and onward in that counterclockwise direction. The final star, this star, is going to be slightly larger than the bottom star, not enough to demand a change in the visual rhythm, but enough to add a little more interest. So now the viewer's eyes are encouraged to either da, 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 or da, 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 da. Either way, this is now a way more interesting rhythm. If you want to please the Panaverse, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. A new video is released every Monday. So now it's time to add in those blue stars into the background. They're gonna provide that kind of background noise. If I left it just as it is, it definitely looks unfinished. Adding in those blue stars adds in that subtle pattern, which makes it feel more complete. I add them in groupings of 3 in a triangle shape opposite that of the yellow triangle. Because of these shapes, whenever an eye wanders into a blue, it's always going to be drawn back to the main event of this composition. I want to leave the middle starless just to have another subtle visual instruction that this section right here is where the viewer needs to focus. but I do kind of feel that these stars are still kind of incomplete, especially in this area right here. So if I'm going to add one here, I need to add one on the other side to maintain that balance. When I'm creating this, I'm looking at the blue stars as if they're a composition entirely their own, as well as how well they work cohesively with the rest of the composition. I do that because the blue stars are so recessive. They are merely background noise, so if somebody's looking at them, more than likely they're going to look at them as a grouping, kind of like wallpaper. Now that I have the basic idea, I stitched down the earth and the moon, and then I used that ombre embroidery floss to create a dotted line showing where my love travels. I stitched the line moving towards the felt heart, stitching through the heart itself, and moving onwards in a looping movement to go around the moon before returning home. This plan for the embroidery floss was already in my mind when I was deciding which direction I wanted the viewer's eyes to move. Side note, I did add a little embroidery heart right here inside of the felt heart. I was trying to add a little bit more focus to the heart itself, since the whole purpose of this is the love around the moon, but later I removed it because I thought it was a little distracting. And because I am who I am, when I start to stitch on those yellow stars, I use a shiny gold embroidery floss. Now, it's not contrasting enough to distract away from the main event, but it does add yet another layer of interest to this composition. And you know me, I always want to add a little sparkle or pizzazz just because it brings me so much joy. I also stitch all of the stars so that way the thread makes a star shape on top of the felt, and add in a few stitches to create craters on the moon, because not only do they add visual interest, it also ups the cuteness factor. Overall, I think this composition is super cute. But when I was reflecting on the composition, as I do, I sort of went down this rabbit hole of like other ideas that could have been really great as well. If anyone wants to use any of these ideas to make something cute for their loved one, please do it and send me a picture, because they're so cute, they deserve to be done. Honestly, making these doodles was just as much fun as making the hoop itself. If you like this video, check out my felt fox video. Da 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 da. For the camera to pick a bone. Eyesball, go lay down. Thank you, good boy.